There's a new trend starting in which companies are not including USB-C cables with their products, and we've now seen the first major smartphone to do just that. Are you ready for a cable-free smartphone purchase? In other news, a leak suggests Google might be ditching Samsung when it comes to the Tensor modem that appears in Pixel smartphones. Finally, we ran a poll asking you all about whether you want a Galaxy S26 Plus or a Galaxy S26 Edge, and the results aren't even close. I'm C. Scott Brown, and it's time for a quick roundup of the biggest tech news that you need to know about. Okay, so are you ready to buy a phone without a USB-C cable in the box? I know this sounds wild, but it could be the future for us all quite soon. Before I get into this story, let me give you some quick context. Way back in 2020, Apple did something that people are still upset about even today. It released the iPhone 12 series, and none of the phones came with a charger in the box. Instead of a charging brick that worked in your specific area of the world, the phones only came with a standard USB-C cable. At the time, Apple argued that this would significantly reduce the environmental impact of iPhone shipments around the world. Not only would there be less potential for e-waste, but iPhone boxes could be much slimmer and much lighter, enabling more phones to ship on one pallet, reducing the energy consumption of transporting that pallet. It all sounded very positive. Of course, this didn't stop, well, pretty much everyone around the world from crying foul. Not including a charger in the box with a phone means that people need to buy a charger as an additional purchase. And wouldn't you know it, Apple will happily sell you an iPhone charger for a whopping $39. Was Apple really trying to help the environment? Or was it trying to save money on iPhone packaging and shipments while simultaneously making more money on additional charger sales? Regardless of Apple's intent, it wasn't long before most Android manufacturers followed suit and removed the chargers from their smartphone boxes. Now that it's been several years and consumers are used to not having a charger come with their new phone, it seems the USB-C cable might be next on the chopping block.
You are next.
Once again, Apple is leading the way here. The company recently launched AirPods 4 and AirPods Pro 3, and both sets of earbuds are the first from the brand to come without a USB-C cable for charging them. Now, according to a Reddit user, Sony decided not to include a USB-C cable with its most recent phone, the Xperia 10 Mark VII. Obviously, Sony is a very small player in the Android world. Sorry, Sony, but that's just the truth. But this is how changes like these begin. Apple tests the waters, Android manufacturers follow suit, and before you know it, every company enacts the change. Interestingly, we ran a poll at Android Authority about this topic, asking our readers what they think. Are they okay with not getting a USB-C cable with their future smartphone, or is that an essential component that should be included in the box? According to nearly 1,000 votes, around 37% of respondents said that they wouldn't miss the USB-C cable. Based on the comments in the article, most people on that side of the fence say they already have enough cables, so getting a new one with every future phone purchase just isn't necessary. That still leaves around 63% of respondents who think the USB-C cable is an essential component of any smartphone purchase. Arguments against this practice seem to focus on the idea that the USB-C protocol is a total mess. So consumers might end up using low-quality cables with ancient specs, which won't reliably charge their products at the speeds they expect. Time will tell how this all pans out, but for now, most phones should continue to have cables with them at purchase. If the iPhone 18 series next year doesn't have them in the box though, then you'll know exactly how the rest of the story will go. Speaking of the future, I want to point out that Android Authority has a podcast called Authority Insights, and we discuss upcoming Android features that aren't around yet but could be coming soon. It's hosted by the king of Android himself, Mishal Rahman, and I'm there too, to make Mishal look even smarter than he already is. If you want to check that out, I'll leave a link to it in this video's description, along with links to all the news I'm going to discuss today, along with a link to my own channel, which you should check out sometime. I mean, you don't have to do that, but it would really make me happy if you did. Unless you don't want me to be happy. I don't know why you want to be like that, but it's okay. I can take it. Anyway, our next story centers on the next iteration of the Tensor chipset, the one that powers Google Pixel smartphones. It looks like Google could be making a significant shift when it comes to next year's modem in what we assume will be called the Tensor G6. If you don't follow the world of smartphone chips, here's what you need to know. This year, Google launched the Tensor G5 chip, which is its first self-made silicon that didn't mostly rely on using a Samsung Exynos processor as the base. While TSMC made that chip based off Google's designs, the modem is still from Samsung. I'm not sure why this is the case. Maybe Google was on a time crunch and could only work on the main processor and left the modem alone. Who knows? Regardless, the Tensor G6 chipset, which will almost certainly launch in 2026, might not have a Samsung modem. Instead, a new rumor from leaker Mystic Leaks, as first spotted by the site Sammy Guru, suggests that Google could turn to MediaTek for its modem needs, specifically the M90 model that the company launched at Mobile World Congress earlier this year. If this ends up being true, this could mean a huge jump in connectivity performance and efficiency for the Pixel 11 series. While Samsung's modems aren't bad per se, the M90 chip is definitely much better. Not only is it a much newer product, considering the Exynos 5400 in the Pixel 10 series launched in the beginning of 2024, but it is also better across the board. This could make a big difference for efficiency in particular, which has been a complaint from Pixel users for a while now. Unfortunately, we still haven't seen a commercial phone launch with the MediaTek M90 in it, so we can't give much other info on it. But if Google is moving away from Samsung for modems, that is sure to make a lot of Pixel fans happy, and might even make Pixel haters take a second look at the Pixel 11 series whenever that launches. Our final story today centers on the next huge phone launch in the Android world, which is what Samsung has in store for us early next year with the Galaxy S26 series. A few months ago, we told you about how Samsung might be eliminating the vanilla Galaxy S26 and the Galaxy S26 Plus from the lineup, and instead launching a Galaxy S26 Pro, S26 Edge, and S26 Ultra. I'll put a link up here for you if you want the full scoop on that. Now it seems Samsung may have had a change of heart. According to Korean news outlet The Elec, Samsung may have added a fourth phone to its Galaxy S26 lineup. According to what we know, there were 3 phones in the Galaxy S26 family, known as M1, M2, and M3, which refer to the Pro, Edge, and Ultra respectively. Now though, it appears an M Plus has been added late in the game. It doesn't take Batman to figure out what the M Plus model would likely refer to. The big question though, is that if this is true, why did Samsung make this last minute call? You probably have already guessed the answer, but a source speaking with The Elec had this to say on the matter. Samsung Electronics recently added the development project due to lower than expected Galaxy S25 Edge sales. This isn't all that surprising considering the response to the Galaxy S25 Edge was pretty cold, even from die-hard Samsung Knights out there. However, the new iPhone Air, which is essentially Apple's version of the Galaxy S25 Edge, is getting a lot of positive press. Of course, how much of that press is because tech reviewers tend to give Apple more praise than maybe it deserves is a matter that can only be best figured out in YouTube comments. Either way, Samsung's Edge sales might be bleak, but the company probably doesn't want to give up on the idea quite yet if Apple is now in the game. Anyway, with the news that there might be a Plus model and an Edge model next year, we decided to ask our readers which they would prefer if Samsung were to eliminate one. You're probably not going to be surprised by this either, but out of the thousands of votes on multiple platforms, the overwhelming majority of respondents voted for the Galaxy S26 Plus over the Galaxy S26 Edge. So there you go, Samsung. If you're watching this, take some notes. Anyway, that's it for this roundup. If you want to dive deeper into these stories, be sure to check all the links down below. Remember to like and subscribe so you'll be notified as soon as the next roundup goes live. See you all soon.